Today we would like to welcome Dr. Donné, a medical specialist here in Lucerne, who will answer some of students' questions at IMI about the coronavirus outbreak. I would like to start off by asking you a question about, is there a certain treatment for COVID-19 patients, and do doctors use hydroxychloroquine to aid treatments here in Switzerland?
For sure, there's a treatment for COVID in Switzerland. It's depending on the stage of the disease. Yeah, when you have no symptoms at all, like 30% of all COVID positive patients had, then you don't need any treatment. If you have like mild symptoms like flu-like symptoms, then for sure you treat it aspirin, paracetamol. Maybe when you already fear super infection like a pneumonia, then you already can give antibiotics like azithromycin, but this has to be prescribed by the doctor. If you get more serious symptoms, then you can use the same again. For sure you have to give azithromycin at the moment directly, and cortisone. And depending on the need of oxygen, you can give oxygen. But in the oxygen you have to give it via the nose, never into the lungs, because we know that 53% of all people that get oxygen directly in the lungs were dying. Yeah, and then there's not yet any golden standard in the treatment because the COVID-19 is a relatively new virus for us, and there are different treatments, and it's always every couple of months is updated. So at the moment we use retroviral medication, like HIV medication in Switzerland. It's like remdesivir. The hydroxychloroquine is not used anymore, normally as first standard. But when you look in international studies, they already use like ivermectin, for example. But you never know what's happening in 2-3 months. Maybe there's already another treatment. And what we're also discussing is to give convalescent plasma. That means from people who recovered from the disease, that you take blood, gain the plasma of them, and give it to the clients. That for sure is would be very good, because then you have all the antibodies in it. And for sure, if there's really serious disease and you're really suffering high risk for dying, then for sure you have to be in the hospital, and you have to give all the treatment by possibility indirectly in the veins. Yeah.
Okay. My next question would be: so what should students do at IMI, and what should they practice during this pandemic season?
For sure, they have to respect the normal hygienic standards given by the Swiss Health Ministry and by the management of IMI. Yeah, that means just washing regularly the hands, respect distances, don't cough each other, yeah, don't kiss each other like we're used in Switzerland, and just respect normal hygienic standards.
Okay. What do you think about reusable masks? Can you wash them and just use them again, or medical masks are better?
It doesn't matter, maybe. There's those reusable masks, the surgical masks, for sure it would be better to use new ones again, yeah, but don't reuse them. But for sure you can also put them in the baking oven 30 minutes, 60 degrees, and reuse them afterwards. And also what's very common in Europe is to use self-tailored masks, yeah, that you make your own masks. And for sure these FDC masks, then you cannot use it again. You have to really clean them properly. Yeah.
All right. But what if we get small or like cold-like symptoms, and what should students do in this case? Should they immediately go to the doctor, or what is the plan?
If you got those symptoms, then for sure you have to inform directly the IMI management. They have the symptoms and you have to consult directly a doctor. But the problem is, now in this situation, you're not allowed to go directly to the doctor. You have to call normally before, and then the doctors are not allowed to make the testing. There's only several clinics here who are allowed to do the testing, and one is, for example, at the main station, and one is at the big hospital, for example. Yeah, then you have to go there and show, and for sure you already have to respect the isolation, the quarantine, that you don't infect others. Yeah.
I agree. And how long after having COVID-19 are you safe, or you can catch it right away from another person who has COVID as well right now?
Look, normally we say if you got it once, you don't get it back because you have your antibodies. But the problem is, like in every disease, there are always exceptions. Yeah, and we know there are some single cases. There are around, I don't know, 100,000 infected COVID-positive people, and maybe 100 got it back. That's normal, yeah, because those are these exceptions.
Oh, so it's really rare.
Yeah, and if they really got it very serious again, we don't know. Yeah, there's really single cases, single cases to get it back. And for sure, normally, as long as someone is positive, has symptoms, for sure he can infect you, even 48 hours after it. But if you are healthy and recovered completely from the COVID, then normally you don't infect anyone else again, or infect anyone else. What we know is, it's like we call it passive immunization or herd immunization. That we know when people got immunized or vaccinated, or they got this COVID positive, then they are indirectly infecting or vaccinating the other people. That means 3 people with COVID positive infecting a 4th people, but not with symptoms, just without any symptoms, and is also building up antibodies without getting any sickness. Yeah?
And are there any long-term effects of contracting COVID-19? Do you, for example, lose a sense of smell for 2 weeks only while you are sick, or you just have a long-term issue with that?
This we don't know yet, probably. There are normally, when you recover from your COVID, then normally it's like from the flu, then normally you recover completely without any more symptoms. But for sure, you always, like from the flu, you still need 1 or 2 weeks to recover completely, because you still have some coughing, whatever, yeah, or some little bit runny nose. If you got any serious symptoms and long-term symptoms, we don't know yet. We only know some single cases again, like diabetes or chronic lung diseases, whatever, or chronic heart diseases, but it's only single cases. And we really don't know if it's from the COVID, or might be from the COVID, just triggered by COVID. That there's another disease before, and this COVID is just triggering it.
Yeah, because a lot of people, they say that they lose a sense of smell for 6 months.
Yeah, this we know. It's very common for it. Yeah. And but then again, COVID is only since, let's say, November 19 in China. So we don't know what is really the long term, because it's only not even 1 year. Yeah, in 1 year it's not a long term. Yeah, not yet.
And how long are you gonna stay positive after noticing the symptoms? Are you gonna stay positive for 2 weeks or longer?
We say 48 hours. Yeah, we say 48 hours. After you lose the last symptoms, then plus 48 hours. Then you shouldn't be infected anymore.
Okay. And do you know the exact percentage of age groups who got COVID-19 overall, for elderly people or for young people?
We know in Europe the average age of the COVID deaths is around, depending on the numbers, between 81 and 84 years old. That is a very high age, yeah, the normal age for Europe, Central Europe. We know that around 80% are age 80 and over and above. Then 15% are age 70 and above. 60% of 5% are 6 years and above, and less than 1% is beyond 60 years. So for the young people, it's not really the risk.
So it's
the old people.
Yeah. Sadly. And the last question I have for you today is: can this virus be transmitted to or from domestic animals?
Again, no proper reply, because there are no real studies. At the very beginning, there was this rumor that this COVID was maybe developed by pet, like a bat, yeah, maybe, we don't know, yeah, that's China, we don't know exactly what's really happening there. And but we don't have any reports, really proper serious reports from any other studies that's really transmitted by pets or by animals, wild animals. That's only some suspects. What we know how we could transmit is when you have your pet on your thighs, yeah, and you're coughing on it, on the fur of the cat or of the dog, and you give it to anyone else, and this is one is stroking over the fur and then get it in the nose, for sure he can get it. But that's really single cases. Yeah, not really proper studies.
So I think I asked you all the questions that all of the students were interested in, and I'd like to thank you for coming here today and answering all those questions.
Thank you.